Hi, my name is Josiah Boyd, and I'll be continuing the plot twist series. Today we'll be working through the parable of the bags of gold. It's in Matthew 25:14 through 30. So I won't read it to you. I won't bore you to death. I won't kill you that way. But I'll explain some things to you. Try to keep it short. Try to keep it simple. Try to keep it sweet, so you can go on your day. But crank this out a little bit on your ride somewhere or something like that. We're in Matthew 25:14 through 30, and we have this parable of the bags of gold, and let me just explain it to you. There's a master, 3 servants, and master's going on a trip, business trip, I don't know, pleasure trip, I don't know, it never clarifies, never tells us. But what it does tell us is that he's going to leave, and he trusts 3 servants. He gives the first servant 5 bags of gold. Now, this servant has this idea: I'm going to take this 5 bags of gold, I'm going to go out and I'm going to grind, and I'm going to try to turn my 5 bags of gold into more. I'm trying to create more with my bags of gold. He goes to the second servant, and he gives him 2 bags of gold. Now, this servant has the same exact mentality. I'm going to take my 2 bags of gold, and I'm going to go turn it into more. I'm going to try to turn it into like 4 bags of gold or whatever it is, right? Now, when he gets to the last servant, he gives him 1 bag of gold. And this servant doesn't have the same mentality as the other servants. He ends up just going out and burying it in the woods, right? So, time goes by. The first 2 servants are putting their bags of gold to work, and they're doing amazing things with them. And then the last servant's just kind of living life, and he's not really doing anything because his bag of gold is just buried somewhere, right? So eventually, the master comes back, and he goes to the first servant, who's turned his 5 bags of gold into 10 bags of gold. And he's like, "Can I have my 5 bags of gold back?" He's like, "Yep, here's your 5 bags of gold." The master's so pleased, he gives him 5 bags of gold, right? And after that, he goes to the second servant, and he goes, "Can I have my bags of gold back?" He's like, "Sure. Here's your 2 bags of gold." He's so pleased that he turned it into 4, so he lets him keep 2 bags of gold. By this time, the last servant has gone out. He's went and he got his 1 bag of gold that he buried somewhere, and he goes up to the master and he says, "Sir, I know that you are a man who does not reap what he sows. He does not harvest where he has laid seed. So I took your bag of gold and I buried it, just so I wouldn't lose it." And master is like, "If you knew I was like that, if you knew I did those things, then why didn't you just put my bag of gold in the bank? So at least I would have some interest with my bag of gold." He's frustrated that he didn't put his bag of gold to work. And I would believe that he's even more frustrated if he would have came back with no bag of gold, but at least he tried to do something with it. Now, the reason I talk about this is because he uses bags of gold because he was probably talking to a specific group of people. He was probably, in a town where that was a serious problem or something, or they all did understand it and they were all really good with working with money. So he does this to explain that to them. But now I'm going to try to translate it and try to explain it to you in a sense that would work today. Now, the best way that I've come up and been able to explain it is the bags of gold could literally be bags of gold. They could be cars, they could be houses, they could be jobs, whatever. But I like to look at them as talents. Some of us have better talents than other people, right? Like, some of us are world-class athletes, and then some of us are just really good at talking to people. So essentially, everyone has a talent that's different, right? Maybe you're really good at just talking to people, and during service, your time to shine is when we're like, "All right, everyone, stand up, shake some hands, hug some necks," and you're the guy that just hugs everybody with a big old smile, and you're just there, and everyone's like, "I can't wait, he makes me so happy when he just like, 'Good morning, how's it going, man?'" Maybe that's your talent. Maybe your talent is a little bit more than that. Maybe you're an usher, you help supply food and stuff like that, and you feel good because everyone in this room's getting coffee and a little snack or whatever, right? And then some of us, we're up here doing this, You know, we're doing research and trying to figure out how the best way to explain this is to you, and we're laying it all on the line just to show, I love you and I want to be there for you. Now, the reason I bring up these different talents is because every talent contributes in a different way. Even if you don't feel like it's contributing in a different way, every talent is helping someone get somewhere. Now, what I mean is, I like to tell this story. When I was a senior in high school, I began doing youth, and that's eventually how I got here. And when I started youth, I didn't know what I was doing. I wanted to know, I thought I was at that prime age where I was like, I know everything and I got this figured out. No one needs to help me, right? Especially no adult. So I would read books and I would listen to podcasts and I would watch lectures and stuff. And I thought I knew what I was doing. Well, eventually, one of my youth kids ended up being in the same grade as me, so that made it a little weird. But he eventually hit a rough patch in life, and he got kicked out of his house. And I was like, man, you should come live with me. At least there's a bed and a roof over your head and warm meals every night. You should come do that. And he was like, sure. So I ended up letting him come live at my house, and he lived there for a little bit, and it really worked out, right? Because we shared a room, and so we would just hang out all the time, played video games together, worked on homework together. We were in theater together, so we worked on lines a lot. And but eventually, you can't really outrun. I'm always doing youth stuff. So we began to sit around when I did youth stuff. And this was amazing, right? Because then there was someone there working with me. And I could bounce ideas off of him, right? Hey, what does this sound like? Hey, how does this hit home? What do you think we need to work on? How's the room seem to you? How do we get better? How do we grow more? And we would stay up even later every night, reading books, watching movies, listening to podcasts, and, listening to lectures and all this stuff, right? It was amazing because we were just doing more and more and more. And the awesome part was he would help me get to there, and then I would take my talents and I would go and I would finalize it and I would figure out how to talk to it and use examples that everyone would understand. And then my other talent was to stand up in front of the room, and I wasn't afraid, you know what I mean? I could stand up and I could talk to people and I could engage in the room, I could ask questions, and I could sit in the awkward silence to make sure that everyone's talking about what they need to talk about. And then after the service, I was really good at having people come up to me and talk to me and all this stuff, right? I mean, eventually I took all my talents to the army. But at that time, I was using my talents, right? And he was using his talents. I could bounce ideas off of him. He could say no to me. He could say, this is what we need to work on. He wasn't afraid to, right? Whereas I'm afraid to tell anyone they need to work on anything. And he used his talents to, make me better, to strive better, to get better. And it was amazing, right? But just like everyone would post about me, and everyone would say thank you to me and be, happy that I was around and stuff. So eventually he wanted that, right? He wanted something more. And eventually he approached me and he said, I want to do a series based off of music. And I was very thoughtful. Go for it, man. Follow your dreams. So the roles were reversed. Which that's where this true point comes from. The roles were reversed, right? He was the one that was going to have to finalize the research and then on Wednesday engage and stuff. And I was going to be the one that had to be like, hey man, that's not going to work. Hey, you need to do this. Hey, that's, you need to try this. But the problem is we weren't good at those roles. Eventually, he wouldn't do research. He wouldn't finalize it. He would just take all my notes. On Wednesdays, which was supposed to be a 20-minute sermon, would turn into a 4.5-minute sermon. And it was just crash and burn. And then eventually I would have to get up there and just explain it and everything. And at the end of the day, though, I'd still be like, man, that was awesome. You got this, bro. You're going to figure it out. This was just a rough week. When in reality, he needed someone that was like, no, you're not good at this. But that was more of his talent. He was in the position of my talent. See, these talents seem insignificant almost, though, right? But they helped us get to where we were, because eventually we switched back and it was the same exact series, same exact song, same exact, whatever. And we went striving. We were growing the youth again, and people were showing up and they were feeling it and they were understanding at a deeper level, and we were touching lives and spreading grace and spreading love. And it was because we switched back. I was the one that was finalizing research and standing up, and I knew how to engage the room, and I understood who was being touched more than others and how to really drive points home. And he was telling me that I needed to work on stuff better, and I needed to, reroute to this, and I needed to talk about this, and maybe next time we should do this. And that worked. And I can't explain that enough, because everyone has talent, and all of our talents are different. And that's okay. It's okay also to not be at the forefront of things. It doesn't mean you're not changing lives. I mean, I would have never got to where I was growing my youth, taking kids to camp out of state. I would have never got to, where I was today doing this if I didn't have him in my life telling me, you know what, you need to work on this. You need to work on that. You need to, next time do this. Okay, let's do this. Everyone's talent is different, right? And no matter how big, no matter how small, it contributes. The last thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to recognizing things like that was one of my favorite stories is the story of King David. And in First Samuel, a prophet comes to King Saul and he's like, just so you know, your son Jonathan isn't going to be king. David's going to be king. And Saul is angry. He wants to kill David at that point in the most gruesome ways ever. He says something about how he wants to throw a spear and not just kill him with the spear, but hang him on the wall with it. I mean, that's some gruesome stuff for someone you brought into your house and is taken care of. But where King Saul is angry, Jonathan's fine. He recognizes that David's going to do amazing things, that David has a certain set of skills that's going to change the world. So Jonathan kind of just steps away. It's okay. You do it, man. I'm going to still be here for you. I'm going to still, be a friend and be someone that you talk to and help and everything. But I know you're going to do amazing things as king. And that's what we all need to start doing. We need to start recognizing our talents, and instead of burying it in the woods because it seems like a small, insignificant talent, we need to start putting it to work. We need to start having this mentality of, I have this talent, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to grind with it, no matter how big, no matter how small. This talent comes easy to me. This talent is so simplistic in my mind, but it's so hard in other people's minds, but I'm going to put it to work. So we need to just go out and use our talents to spread, God's love in general, grace, peace. Take your talent and do amazing things with it. I hope you got something out of this. Try to keep it simple, try to keep it short, try to keep it sweet. Love you guys. I hope you have an amazing week. Thank you.